Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I have a special video for everyone today. I'm recording this video about how I edit disc golf videos. And since this is going to be different than nearly every other disc golf video that's out there, it's going to be longer and I'm going to edit a full video in real time. And basically you're going to see everything that I do, from putting the video files onto my PC to editing them, to rendering them, and then uploading them to be published. So as you know, I use a GoPro 9 Hero Black to record most of my videos, and sometimes a Sony Handycam. And I also use for audio a Rode wireless Go 2 microphone set. And what you see on screen here is typically what I'm using to edit these videos, and this is my setup in terms of what it looks like. Now when I'm actually editing the first part of the video, I'm using two monitors because I have a multi-monitor setup here, but I use two monitors to edit the videos. I'll monitor what's going on the right pane with the video, and then I monitor what's going on the left as I'm editing the video. But for the sake of this video here, I'm putting it all onto one screen for you to view, and this is essentially how this is what it looks like when I view after I do the initial part of the editing. The rest of my editing is done from this single window environment. So with that said, my PC that I'm using is a 10-year-old Windows PC. You can see here it's an AMD. It's a home-built PC with 16 gigs of RAM. It's got a 500 gig solid-state drive SSD, and it's using Windows 10. And for my program, I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro. It's part of the Adobe Creative Cloud suite that you purchase, and you pay a monthly subscription. My wife has this, and I basically use that, and I use a variety of other programs that I've picked up over the years and decades as well to supplement what I'm doing here. But essentially what you're going to see today mostly comes from Adobe Premiere Pro, and then everything else you'll see. So I'm self-taught, but I do have decades of training, skills, and experience across a variety of technologies and disciplines. I've also edited thousands and thousands of videos over the decades. So what you're going to see here is somewhat of a refined process, which I've had to do because of my ancient hardware that I'm using. And admittedly, I need to buy and build better hardware in the future, so that's a stretch goal for me. And I need to add more video editing skills. I need to get better at editing videos. That said, this is where I'm at now and how I do this, so let's get started. So as you can see here, this is the program that I'm using, and this is what a typical project looks like when complete. There's essentially the video and audio here. Then here's all the titles and other extra stuff that's on top of that. And then you have something like an intro and an outro and all the other stuff. And you have the actual program pane here, which is used for when you're editing the video. You get to see what you're doing, and then you have the timeline itself. That's what this is. And then you have other tools like Essential Graphics, and you have the editing tool, then you have other stuff that's going on. You have the tracks, all that kind of stuff. And this really isn't, the purpose of this video isn't to show you every nuance of everything that I do. It's more to just show you the workflow and the process and what everything looks like. So sit back and enjoy, and you'll see what a project like this gets edited into and gets turned into something like this. So as you can see, I've done a lot of different videos, and this is just currently what I've got loaded up here. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to close this particular project. See, close project. And I'm going to create a new project here. And you'll see that I've got other projects that I've done here. So typically what happens is I have a folder called my disc golf folder. It's on the desktop, and it basically houses all the projects that I'm currently working on. It has a handful of audio and images that I used from the past. Here's a previous project that I had, which I didn't delete. After 2 weeks or so, every project that I work on, after being edited and uploaded into a video, I delete the entire project file. So I don't keep backups of anything I edit on, simply due to file constraints. Every video that I make has a a cost in terms of file space. 9 gigs is not unusual for a file, an entire video to take. Like this is an 18-hole course that Sean and I dueled on. It's 9 gigs. This is a scramble that Sean and I did on a 9-hole course, so it's half the length, half the size. Here's another one. This was with 3 people in a regular round of disc golf, so it's a little bit larger, 6 gigs. And then you can see currently now I have a scramble with Sean and I've taken later the same day as the Gwen Herska thing here, and it's probably going to be about 4 gigs or less. Yeah. So this is essentially what I'm going to edit today, and this is what that looks like. These are all the video files. What happens is I record off the GoPro, and all that gets input into a video file. The microphones that I add to the GoPro, all that audio gets put into this video, and that's everything here. And I basically import all this into this here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new project, or we're going to title this, I gotta wait for it to render. This is a slow program, so it takes a while for everything to load up. Bender's Park Scramble, and I'm going to call this the edit because this is the edited video. I actually started editing this, and I'm going to create this file here. You can pull this information from lots of different places, but I put everything on my desktop PC because it's faster. Now we have here, this is the project window pane, and this is where all the project files are. This is the actual timeline window pane. This is where you're going to edit everything. And what I do is I have a special sequence, a metadata display, that all that information, each one of these columns is a point of metadata. It's a column of data that will be used. So I have a new metadata display that changes what's in these columns here. I'm going to click OK, and you see that these columns changed because everything I need is going to be only reflected in these columns. And even then, this is still too much information, but this is what I've got. So now what I do is I grab each of these files, each of these video files, and then I basically copy them, and I lasso them in order. So I've got the mouse pointer, it's in a folder. I lasso these to where they're put into the clipboard in a certain order. Then this order gets imported into this timeline like this. And then what you're going to see here is all these files get put here. Now, something you're going to see here is everything is already here. That's because all this information is still cached. Because a few days ago, I already imported all these files into this program, and so there's not the usual delay of 1 to 2 minutes of all these getting loaded into the program, and all the audio files getting converted and put into usable format by the program to use in real time. So this is essentially what it looks like. And you see this program file, this program menu here. It basically lists any videos that you edit. Is going to be like right here. And so what I do is I stretch this out, and then I lengthen this timeline to where you see there's 2 seconds, 4 seconds. I get it to where the indicators, the milestones, I don't know what you call them, are precisely 1 second apart. And there's a range of 1 second between the longer 1 second where you have greater control, or slightly less control. To me, this is just fine for editing. I can see what I need to edit if I put it like right there. Okay, it's not perfect, but this is what it needs. So now let's go to here. You can see all these have been imported into the program. You see frame rate, the media start and end time of each, the media duration, the duration of each file, and then there's in and out points for each of these within the timeline. Then the video sequence that's being mapped here, the video info, the audio info, the creation date, and I could add more, but this is all I really need to know. And off here you've got an essential graphics pane. I also have an essential sound pane, which isn't reflected here right now, but I'm not going to need it for this video. And then there's other panes here. But anytime you start hitting play, it automatically moves you to the program file here. So you hit spacebar, it moves forward. You hit up arrow, down arrow to move back and forth between the clip to the edge of each clip, and then you can slowly use your arrow backwards and forwards to move frame by frame within a certain duration. Alright, so I downloaded every clip that I recorded into GoPro, but wait, there's more. I need to import some other files into here. So again, I'm going to grab this here. Now I'm going to go to a folder called my rendered videos folder. You can see every video that I've rendered recently in the last couple weeks or a month or so. And every month or so I move these off this drive onto backup drives. I have drives where I store all the videos that I've done previously, and I've got terabytes and terabytes of video that I've edited. So here's the last one I did. But what I need to do is I need to go to the very beginning of this folder in terms of chronological date, and I'm going to look up two things. I've got the outro, which I'm going to copy into here. That's the outro that I currently use. And I've got the intro that I currently use, that I've been using since 2020, since just about the time this channel started. So that's why you see this here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this intro into here. There you go. And then I'm going to move it down here. I use control. I hit the control key and then moved it. And then now I'm going to go hit the end key to go to the very end of this project file. Now I'm going to put the outro. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and, while I'm here, I'm going to set the gain, reduce the gain by a tiny bit so it's not as loud relative to the rest of the thing. And that's the reason I do that is this is already this is already rendered. This is a short video clip that's a few seconds long. It is exactly 12 seconds long, and it basically has its own audio track and everything already there. And this is a final work. I can't do anything else to this without editing it, re-rendering it, so the audio level is there. Next up, we have the intro here. This I don't do anything to because it's been there like that for years. And then I basically move to the very front. And then last but not least, I come up to the very first file here, and then I copy paste the name of the project. So this project here is called Bender's Park Scramble Edit, because this is a video I'm making specifically for the sake of people watching after this original video comes out. And I do Control S to save. And one thing I do religiously and routinely is, not just routinely, but religiously, I should say, consistently, consecutively, whatever you want to call it, is I'm always saving. After any significant change I do, I Control save. I Control S to save, because I've countless times had the program crash and it reverted to the last save, which could have been minutes or many minutes away in the past. So now we're at the point where I've got this file. But as you'll know, let me just go back to this real quick. So I've got a folder for each of the projects that I do. This last project that I'm editing now is the last round that Sean and I played Sunday, October 22nd, and it finished at 4:10 p.m., which is why this... Actually, it finished before then, but this is the timestamp of when I created this folder and when I moved everything in there. So that's the last modified file data of that folder. So this Bender's Landing Scramble, I'm going to go ahead and edit. And so you'll see here, now I can't hear this audio here, you can hear it. So one thing I'm going to go do here is, you'll notice that the audio has a certain volume level. What I need to do is lower this volume level, because the peaks here will actually hit, like when you see this audio here going up and down, it'll peak at the level of distortion at the max volume here, because that's how the GoPro and the audio is set. So what I do is I look at the entire timeline, I do Alt, I select all the audio here, and then I right click and I go to audio gain, and I lower the audio gain en masse for the entire audio project, notwithstanding the intro and the outro, by 6 decibels. And by doing that, this makes it at a passable audio level to where, and I'm doing Control S to save, this puts it at a perfect audio level that will not go too loud for when the user is watching this video days later or whenever they're watching it. And so I learned over time what that volume level is, how to set everything up, and that's what they are all set to. So I imported every clip in here. I added the intro and the outro. I saved the project name, and now what's left is cropping the front and back of each clip. So every clip here has a front part of the clip and the end part of the clip. And of this 12 minute and 28 second complete video that's as of yet unedited, it's been added to, it's had the volume level changed, but nothing else has been done to this video. It's at 1080p 60. The timeline is in 1080p 60. The intro and the outro are in 1080p 60. So everything is going to be edited as such. Now, what I have to do is I have to turn the speaker on, because even though OBS, the program I'm using to record all this, has desktop audio enabled, so it's hearing what's in the desktop, I can't hear it. But now I need to hear it. So I'm going to edit the front and back of each of these clips.
Action.
Okay, now that was cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it to where, just before I edit on the screen. So using the up arrow, see where I showed up here, back there. Okay, now I'm going to do C to cut, V to no longer cut, right click, ripple delete, bam. I've just removed that little section, and the total length of the video has been reduced. And then now I can go to the end of the clip.
Yes.
And then now I'm going to do this. And one trick you can do is you can use the tilde key here, so you can basically do that. You just really need to. I want to get it before this hand comes up too much, because it shows too much of the metagame that I'm reaching for a camera. I try to minimize the fact that we're holding and using a camera. So I'm going to go ahead and put the end of this clip here. Right click, ripple delete, and that pulls everything forward. A ripple delete basically pulls everything, fills in the gap. If I were to just do right click and then delete, it would just do that. But when you ripple delete, it pulls everything to there. Okay, he just did that. That's kind of interesting, so I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to go to this part here. That's good enough. For the sake of this part, I'm going to do it all this way. I did more fine-tune editing of the project that I'm going to move to after this, but I want to do a little bit of this just to show you the process.
Right.
Okay, this is good enough. I don't need every millisecond at the beginning and ending of each thing. And just so you know, I actually watch every moment of every clip multiple times. I'm saving you the effort of me doing this.
Easy part.
Okay, that was short enough a duration from him finishing speaking to the end of the clip to where I didn't feel like I needed to do any adjustments on here. And one thing I'll do here is like this here.
Oh yeah.
You don't need to see every moment of this, but you can start with, how about here? We're just going to do that. Now we're going to go to the end of this clip.
Back. Jesus.
Okay, I'm not sure people, so I don't like this part here. Whenever I edit a video, I don't like the camera doing this, because I just think as a user, this kind of stuff is a little bit jarring. So what I try to do is I focus on when the audio ends and when the last interesting or necessary part of the video needs to be there. And I'm going to arbitrarily put this to here. Now keep in mind, when I'm actually editing this in real time by myself and not in front of a studio audience that'll watch this a day later, I can be a lot more fine-tuned with every frame that I'm editing out. And I'm using a little bit more routine here. So,
all right, 2 old bogeys.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to move it to the end. Okay, don't necessarily need to show you all of it, especially the part when he's, see how the camera's now turning to the left? Sean has a tendency of dropping the camera down as soon as he's done recording and then hitting the button. So what I like to do is I like to go frame by frame to the point where, okay, now it's starting to move. Okay, that's good enough. So I do a lot of these things, and this is a refinement over years and years and years of doing all this stuff. And I won't bore you. Look, this is a lot to go through. I'm not going to show you every single thing here, but I am going to cut to the finished product shortly and then continue from there.
Basket's over there.
Now,
Basket's over there.
do people really need to hear that?
Basket's over
They
there.
always know the basket's over there. Can they actually see the basket?
Basket's
Am I
over there.
pointing to the basket? Not really, but that may have some value. So what I'm going to do is I will go ahead and allow this, but I don't know if Nick from yesterday, when I edited the original the video previously, if I left that in or not. I don't know. I don't care.
Basket's over there.
So, anyways, you can see basically enough of this process. I go through this entire video. I watch every moment of it, and I cut all that out. And then I get to the point here.
Have a great day. Sing and have a great day.
Depending upon how that goes, that may change. I may crop this, or I may do a thing where I add a video transition, dissolve, and then dip to black. Now, one thing you'll know, you see it says dip to black. It has a problem there. I don't do that there. I do Control Z. What I do is I move this out, dip to black, and then I move this here. Then now watch what happens.
Sing and have a great day.
So that's a thing that happens sometimes that I'm not sure is going to happen here. You can see this is a 12-minute, 21-second long video, and that's essentially how the process starts. It takes a good, like if the video is 15 minutes of video that I'm editing, it probably takes me about 30 minutes to edit it. I would wager it takes me about twice as long to edit the length of the video as the video itself, just because I'm watching every clip at a minimum of once, and then I waffle a little bit on terms of when I'm going to clip here, when I'm going to clip here, so on and so forth. And that's kind of how that thing is. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and to save about 30 minutes of time, we're going to close this project. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to File, Open Recent. We're going to open the original product, the product that's fully edited. You can see that's kind of what it looks like there. Whereas if you look at this edit here, you see how there's two tracks. Well, it's technically a third track, it's occupied by the video. Okay, let's ignore. Here's a video track and here's an audio track. Everything below this dividing line is audio, A1, A2, A3, and you can add audio tracks. Add track, audio submix track. And then you have video tracks, and they go in the other direction. V1, V2, V3, they go upwards, whereas audio goes down, 1, 2, 3. And then you can also have selected, I won't bore you with all that. So you see a video track here, Alt to select that, and then you have an audio track here. Every clip has an audio and a video track typically. All right, so I'm going to File, close all other projects, and now I'm left with this. So the only thing else that I did, so what you saw is everything up to a certain point, and then the rest of it was me editing all the rest of this and putting it there. So let's kind of see. Okay, I didn't do anything else here, just left as it is, which is fine. And then here, looks like I did start it
Action.
about where you did. So normally whenever I start a video, I start it right about here. I give myself a half second between here and the audio. But since Sean did an interesting motion and then audio, I left this in. But normally he doesn't say anything, then I just start my thing here. Sean basically lets me do my thing. So all I've done here since we've migrated to this one here is I finished editing, cropping out the front and back of each clip. And now I've added this one track. So what else do I do? Well, now that I've got 12 minutes and 1 second exactly of a video, I need to add whole information. Well, now we come to the essential graphics track. This tool here has a lot of different pre-made graphical things, and I made my own set of templates. You see whole one, and then whole, and then you see the 2 tier of stuff, which is your score, like birdie, par, bogey, double bogey, triple bogey, quad bogey. Then you have tier 3, which is score, 1 player, 2 player, 2v1, 3 players, 4 players. In other words, how many people are on a card. And then this one here is 4. The 4 tier is the disc. Like if I were to put a disc on the screen, this is disc information. And then you'll see some other stuff like LSD, which is Lone Star Disc, which I have a different font that I use for that. I've got a title for basket. These are all titles or template titles. Title templates is what you should call them. Templates of titles. Then you have 2 old bogeys and course name, all that stuff. So we're going to now go to the next part of editing a video. And that's adding layers of titles on top of this. And you see I've got these 3 layers here. You might remember from the very first video we were looking at, the Gwen Herska video, it had 3 more video tracks used. And that's because everything I do is on different layers. So let's start with layer 1, and we're going to add the 2 old bogeys part here.
Action. Excellent. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Sean and I.
Okay, Sean and I. That is where I start with the 2 old bogeys present. By default, Sean and I consider ourselves the 2 old bogeys. Now, if I have 3 or more people on here, I will change this to Nick Carroll Disc Golf, and it's as simple as editing NCDG, then adding S, presents. Boom. And this is now called Nick Carroll Disc Golf Presents. But if it's just Sean and I, it's 2 old bogeys, the 2 OB. So that's there. And again, I'm saving because I did 1 significant change.
Sean and I have played 2 rounds today so far. One at Gwen Herska that we recorded with Zach. And then a second one, a scramble that we didn't want to put on video, but we teamed up against a course and did pretty good.
Of course, because we didn't put it on camera.
Yeah, because we didn't record it. So we're recording this scramble here at Bender's Landing.
Bender's Landing. Boy, it took me, that's probably the longest time it's taken me between introducing myself and introducing the course. But I'm going to do that. So we're going to do course name. Of course name. Well, what is this course name? Well, if you watched the video yesterday, and spoiler alert, this video you're seeing now is made from yesterday's video. Bender's Landing, Liberty Park, and I try to, when possible, use the description that is in UDisc for this title here. Also, the standard is 2 old bogeys present is a tiny bit bigger than whatever course that we're playing, because sometimes a course is longer or shorter, but I keep that as a standard.
Bender's Landing at Liberty Park. Let's go ahead and get going.
Let's go ahead and get going. So we're going to start there. You see where the voice trails off. That goes to here. I extend this out to here. And this is essentially what it looks like. But wait, there's more. We're going to come to here, and we're going to do an effect. You might remember from 2 minutes ago where I did dip to black. We're going to do additive dissolve. Well, what does additive dissolve do?
Well, Sean and I have...
It adds it, but it dissolves into it. Now we're going to add that to here. Effects, additive dissolve. So this will be added through a dissolve. But additive dissolve works in reverse as well. It will also dissolve in reverse. So let's go to here. We're going to see this add in.
Here at Bender's Landing at Liberty Park. Let's go ahead and get going.
And you see how it all faded away? That is by design. We're going to do Control S to save. We're going to click the selection tool again. I guess this is the toolbar. And V is used to bring it back to here, whereas cut is, where's that? Cut, the razor tool. Okay, now we're here. We're on hole 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the first layer. Whoops, sometimes I don't do that. Remember, this is 10-year-old hardware. This is not as crisp as it should be. Now this, by default, is a 30-second long title. So you'll see that by adding it, it adds this layer where you see the whole information, hole 1 and then 200 feet. If you look here, 30 seconds by default on the timeline amounts to about that. So first thing I do, I rename that to hole 1 because I want this to be easily found here as hole 1. And then I change this to whatever that information is. So let me load up the image, Bender's landing score. So here's the scorecard of what I'm doing. Spoiler alert. That hole is hole 1. It's 171. Hole 2 is 372 and it's a par 4. Hole 3 is 312 feet and it's a par 4. So I'll have this on the other screen and I'll actually use an arrow. I just used an arrow to show, the minus key. And this program, incidentally, is called View. But the Bender's landing score, I downloaded this from UDisc. I did shared and then sent it to a Facebook group that Sean and I are on with Mike and others, and then put that there. That's another screen. I use that as a reference. So that hole is 171 feet long, so 171. And then I fast forward to the beginning of each new clip to determine when we hole out. Okay, this is the new hole. So what am I going to do? I'm going to extend this to here. I'm going to use the slash key. There's the forward slash and the backslash. I think this is the backslash key to go between the full length of the timeline to the 1 second marker length that I have, 217, 218, 219, 220, etc. And then I'm going to come here, I'm going to use the cut tool, the razor tool to cut, rename hole 2. Then I'm going to change this information here to hole 2, and it is 372 feet. And given this is a rec level course and their par is a par 4 for this because it's wooded. It's a somewhat dense wooded course with a lot of things there. They have that as par 4, which is fair. If you're a rec level player, 375 is the threshold between par 3 and par 4, and given this has a lot of obstructions, that's fair. So again, it's 30 seconds long. I need to go to the next thing here. Okay, the next hole starts there. Rename hole 3. Okay, and then I'm going to, this is also par 4, so I'm going to change this to 312 par 4. Okay, hole 4 starts here, and I can pretty easily tell because I'm the one that edited the video when the next hole starts, so I don't need to do much. Rename 4, title or razor tool, whatever. Anyways, 270, and then what I do is I'd simply delete par 4 there. Alright. And you see all this takes time. Everything I do takes time. It would take a little bit less time if I was on better hardware, but regardless, it doesn't matter. I'm editing with what I've got now. I've got a pretty refined process, and it's what I'm working with. 309, and this is also par 4, so I use the end key to get to the end of that bar, because that's the name of that symbol, par 4. We birded this hole, so we did it in 3. You can tell the number of clips anything takes. So you can kind of get an idea of how long it took. So it's likely I birdied this because we did it in the drive clip, the approach and upshot clip, and then the putting clip typically. Hole 4, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes if we miss, that last one is longer. Anyways, I won't bore you with all that. Rename. Hole 6. Razor tool. 6. Distance is 240. And then I can go ahead and delete all that. And everything else is a par 3. So I know that I no longer have to add or remove par information from this. So I'm pretty much, I have carte blanche to just edit. Okay. And you can actually kind of tell, like, hole 7 will go to here, hole 8 will go to here, hole 9 will go to here. You can kind of, over the years, you just develop a process and just an understanding. And a lot of this, I could almost do this blindfolded. I mean, I can't, but I have this process down to an art form. And it's not a science, it is art at this point. And I can do this almost without looking at the contents of the screen. I'm on almost autopilot as I'm doing this. So the average person that's doing this for a month or two will take a certain amount of time to do this. For me, it takes a lot less time simply because I've just been doing this for so long. And I'm just going to kind of blast through this because you guys and gals were appropriate, pretty darn smart. You kind of see what I'm doing here, and I'm just doing this as best I can. 9, 261, and boom, we've got all the holes done. But wait, there's more. Now I've got a second layer, and that second layer is going to include par information, such as par information, such as I got a bogey on this hole, or we got a par on this hole, we got a birdie on this hole, so on and so forth. Then we have a final score. And so we're now going to do the next thing, and that is to go. So one thing to point out, I no longer indicate when we've scored a par. A par is considered the standard. It's what you're expected to get on the hole for whatever level you're playing. Although you may not be the same level, like you may be playing an advanced course and it's impossible for you to par a certain hole. Or you may be playing a very simple and easy course where it's super easy for someone like you at your skill level. You can birdie most of the holes without an issue. But generally speaking, par has a certain value within golf and disc golf. And so I just no longer list that. But what I do list is anything that's not par, which could be any birdies, say an eagle, aces, or bogeys, double bogeys, etc., etc. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to add that. So what I do is I look at, here's hole 1. When do we score on hole 1? Well, we score towards the very end. It makes no sense to go to the very front here and then decide, okay, I'm going to, indicate a birdie here. So I go to the very end. Let's see.
Welcome to Old Man Disc Golf.
Old Man Disc Golf, y'all. What do you expect?
So I tap that in, right? Well, where am I going to put birdie? So here's that birdie. I'm going to put that in here. Well, how do I know when to do that? So you can look at it visually. Okay, I'm touching the chain there. But I found that it's best to synchronize titles with the audio, because what you're seeing in the program, there's a slight, I don't want to say it's a delay, but there's a slight disassociation between what you'll see on video, what you'll hear in the program for audio, and when it actually transpires. I think there's a delay in what this is being displayed on the screen compared to the audio that you're listening in real time. And that's because, well, I won't bore you with all that. But long story short is I look to clues in the audio when to put that birdie. So I bring the timeline to right here. That's when this comes into play. So I then copy this here. Now there's two ways to copy this. You can copy this second tier either here and then crop it to there, or you could bring it to here and crop it to here. I generally do the latter, but sometimes I'll do the former. But one thing I'll point out to you is just as each of these had a default duration, each of these holes, this whole layer, whatever this is called, title, has a default duration of 30 seconds. And that's because most clips are more than 30 seconds long. These birdies, I only want the indicator to come up on screen for a maximum of 4 seconds. If a clip happens to end before that 4 seconds is there, in other words, I don't want this to extend here. In other words, when you go through, I don't want to carry over to the next thing and there's a birdie. So I simply do this here.
Disc golf.
Old man disc golf, yep.
And that's 4 seconds. And actually, so let me go back to how I was doing it. So let me put it to right here, right to where the thing raises up, and I'm actually just going to do this here. It doesn't matter. Both ways lead you to this. You get a birdie that comes up when it hits. And so, and actually this is a bogey. This hole's a bogey, so let's get the bogey in there. Okay, we're going to put the bogey there. Okay. Only hole 3 and 5 have a birdie, so those are the only other holes that I'm interested in putting that information. And the reason why that becomes important will become obvious later. But for now, let's go to...
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so when does he tap that in there? Birdie. That goes to here. And you'll see that this ends... This carries on past the end of this clip, so I'll just bring that into there. And now let's go to 5. That's the final birdie. So again, let's get that bogey. Oh, another thing I'll do sometimes is back when it's at like 4 seconds, when I import the first birdie or bogey in here, what I'll do is if I say, oh, there's like six birdies and they're all in a row, what I will do is I will grab this, Control C to copy this one element. Let's go to 5. And I'll come to here and I'll bring it to right about here where it starts, Control V, and boom, it gets copied there. That's one less thing to drag. I'm using a keyboard shortcut to do this. And now that's all the score indicators, the par indicators or par score. I don't know what you call that thing. It is a thing. It is called a thing. But that par information, be it birdie, bogey, or anything that's not actually the par value, because the par value doesn't change, is there. So now we're going to do the next thing. We're going to create the third and final layer, which is the actual score layer. So what is this? Is this a solo endeavor? Is this a scramble or a team up? Is this a doubles match, 2v2 or two? You know, is this 3 players against each other, 1v1v1? Is it 2 versus 1? Is it 3 players? Is it 4 players? All that factors into what this next title layer is going to look like. So since it's one person or a scramble, that has, we're going to go to the scoring tier. You're going to see this is an order of operations. The whole tier, which is 1, the second tier, which is birdie, par, bogey, etc. And I used to do par, but I no longer put par on there. I put everything else but. I'll go all the way up to quad bogey, and I can edit that if needed. Now let's go to the third tier. So this is effectively 1 player. And it starts out with the even score. And then I'm going to rename this to score 0. And why do I do that? Because this value is going to change. Control S to save. Going to look at everything, and I'm going to move this to here. Why am I moving it to this point? In fact, let me move it all the way to here. We're just going to go straight to here. Well, this score changes from E to another value here.
What do you expect?
So what I'm going to do is C to use the razor tool to cut, rename, score 1. We're going to change this value to +1. Boom. And then now we're going to go to the next time the value changes, which is here. We can expand this to here. We're going to go to about like right here. Cut. Rename. Score 0. Change that back to even, par. And then we're going to go to here. And since no other score changes from here to the very end, I'm just going to extend this all the way to the end, come to here, cut, rename. Oh, actually that needed to be, this needed to be 2. So when you stretch out to see everything, you score 0, 1, 2, 3. And the reason why this becomes important is I want you to count the number of non-par scores. 1, 2, 3, So there's 3, right? In a bigger scorecard, it could look something along the lines of this. Let's see if I've been, let me go to the last one. By Ben score. Let's go to South Main Baptist. Thumbnail. Well, I can't find an Andorra Bend. I must have deleted all the other scores. Oh yeah, Gwen Herska score. So here's a typical score. You see, I mean, in these 1, 4, 6, 8, 11, 12, 13. So my previous thing had 13 scores, 13 score values. Anyways, so you can see the shorter the video, the more people that are working together as a team, or the less people involved total, the quicker this part can be done. So that Gwen Herska disc golf round, which was a twice as long video, took twice as much time to edit as something like this, and had a lot more scores to keep track of. But this is essentially what you see here. And then let's go here to the very end. Now what we're going to do, and you can see as you watch any part of this, see here, we're going to see birdie come up on screen and the value change.
Thanks,
Birdie,
sir.
and then that. Oh, I haven't changed the value yet, have I? So now we're going to change it. -1. So now when you go to the very end here, you'll see that. All right. Now you guys had basically seen this score here. Well, now I'm going to put this into this video. Now you're going to see how I do that. So let's go to, well, you're not going to see it in the other screen, but basically I'm going to edit this in Paint. You're going to see how this happens in real time. So I shorten this like so. Then I shorten this. Let's do it to about right here, because you don't need to see all this. This is good. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to bring this up a tiny bit to shorten some of the real estate. I'm going to try to keep the distance between the top of this circle and this line roughly similar to the bottom, to the top of this line, to the bottom of this line, similar to the bottom of this line to the top of that, because I'm trying to conserve a little bit of real estate. I'm going to do this to about like that. So this is the new improved score that's going to be imported into the video. And then you're going to see it here. You can see that my desktop has all that kind of stuff. By Bender's Landing score, and you'll see it's saved as a bitmap. The original was, well, it's not here. Well, you don't see it here because it was a JPEG, but it was a JPEG, which is not a lossy format. Bitmap is a lossless format, and so it will not lose any more of its graphic fidelity from the JPEG it was originally saved. So that is basically now going to be added into the video. So I have a folder called my disc golf folder, and I'm simply going to copy this into here. Boom, it's here. And then this is going to be added to here. So what I'm going to do is import this into there, and then now I'm going to put this onto the timeline. I'm going to put it right here. Okay, here's what my outro looks like before adding that. Here's what it looks like after adding it. Now I'm going to move the score. I'm going to double click to select, then Control Shift to bring down. What I like to do is, you see my foot here, I try to make the graphic go just below the foot because it looks kind of weird if you're looking at this, you're like, what is that? What are these black things below this thing here? Well, I take it out of the equation. So boom. And so when you have here,
Very much for watching and have a great day.
all right, and then you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do that thing where I did the thing, where I added the thing here. Nope, dip to black. We're gonna dip to black here. We're gonna dip to black here. Then we're gonna move this stuff back.
Great day.
Okay, then now we're going to do the same thing here. Now, just to show you here, this asset, this video clip, which is used for my outro, already has some effects added to it already. The one effect that I added to it was, can you guess? It's that fade to black thing. But you see that hangs out for a while. So what I need to do is add that effect to here. Then I need to change the duration to exactly 1 second long, or 1 frame less than 1 second long. And then now watch what happens. That fades out at the same time. So yeah, you can see that I've got kind of a refined process here. Nobody else in the YouTube disc golf space is doing this. That's not to take away from the many brilliant YouTube creators that are doing their own set of things and having their own unique content. And quite frankly, most of these disc golfers are producing better disc golf content than I am. But for what I'm doing, I'm making it as good as I can with what I've got. And that's basically what I do there. So I added the whole information through these titles. I added birdies, bogeys, and other information. I added the scoring information. I showed you that I downloaded the scorecard. I edited a copy of that scorecard, saved as a bitmap, which that cropped bitmap is added into the project file, and then I added it over the video of the outro. And then I get to the point where now I can edit the audio. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spare you this part here where I manually watch this from top to tail and I edit the audio, because sometimes I will find audio issues that I need to fix, and this video would get too lengthy if I showed you that process, because it can take me a lot longer to edit one of these, especially if I have a problem. Just to give you an example, file, open recent, Gwen Herska Park, Bayou Bend, South Main Baptist Duel. I think it was a South Main Baptist Duel, where there was a chunk of audio that was lost. No, it wasn't that. What was that? File, close, all other projects. What was the last one? Gwen Herska. So open recent. Yeah, Gwen Herska. Okay. The thing about Gwen Herska, you'll see that there's 2 audio files actually, and these were one was from one set of mics, and the other one, this audio was from one set of microphones that Sean and I was using. This audio was from another set of mics, one of those which was used for Zach, and that's how he was. And then I had to do some editing there, which I won't bore you with. Close project. What was the other project that I did? Open recent project. Gwen Herska, South Main Baptist, Bender's Landing, Bayou Bend. Okay, we're going to show you the Bayou Bend audio. The reason I'm showing this is I think it's valuable for you to understand that sometimes things go wrong as a content creator like myself. So here's a video that I edited 2 days prior, and it was published prior to this one that I just edited recently. And you'll see here's the original audio track that came with what I edited, but you'll notice here the audio is missing. So what I had to do is I had to download the audio from each of the microphones. Here's my wireless audio, here's Sean's wireless audio, and I edited it all together and I put it into here so that I could basically recover lost audio.
Go with that.
Yeah.
I heard something.
Yeah, I heard a dog too. So we both.
Anyways, I won't bore you with that, but this was about a 2-hour long process that I took for a video that ultimately is only going to get a couple hundred views. You know, and took me probably 2+ hours to, well, probably an hour and change to edit before doing this, and then another hour and change to edit this video. So anyways, just to give you an idea, a lot of this, a lot of these things happen. How do you, well, I've clearly found a project. Scramble. Audio clip, project went Herska with Zach. Here we go, project, bra. Close all other projects. Oh, that's the one. Close project. Silly me, I forgot what video I was editing. It's video, Bender's Landing. Scramble. And so from what I'm going to do here, let's just assume that I've edited the audio. And I've found all the issues. Now I need to render this video with what I've got here. So what I usually do is I go to the very beginning, just as a pet peeve of mine, not pet peeve, but a quirk of mine. Let's go to export. I'm going to do media. And then you're going to see this is what it looks like. And then here's the name of the file name. I'm changing it to that. It's going to render as that. And then the preset. Now by default, this is going to render as a Facebook video, a video that's designed for Facebook. That's 720p in terms of lines of vertical resolution and a certain level of quality that is used. And what I do is I created my own preset called Nick YouTube, and it has a quality level, frame rate, size, and all the other stuff that is specifically tuned. It was built off the YouTube. There's a specific YouTube preset that I edited and turned into this, and that becomes my standard. And then I'll basically export this video. And if I'm editing a 12-minute video, you can basically expect the render time to be no less than 12 minutes, but it could be upwards of 24 minutes based on the number of video and audio and other elements that I've added into this and the amount of time that I've done editing, because the computer has to render it all. And I have essentially a 10-year-old home-built computer. So that's basically this workflow here. I'm going to stop this here because there's no reason for you to watch the render process, and then the other elements of doing this is the whole, you know, the rest of the whole video production process is basically, you know, I proofread. You know, so what? Let me. Sorry, it's late, and I need to wrap this up. So what I do after this point is I export the video. Once the video is fully exported, I then open up this rendered video format, and then I open up the video, and I basically watch the whole thing. However long it is, I watch it. And then I take notes. And the notes usually are something along the lines of timestamp, like 1 minute, Sean burps. 3 minutes, video error. You know, maybe 3 minutes, 40 seconds, video error of some sort. And what, you know, maybe at 5 minutes and 40 seconds, audio too low, or whatever. Whatever the issue is, I will go back, I'll reopen this program, and I will then fix all the issues that are wrong. I will then re-render this, and then I'll watch the video yet again. But when I watch the video, I will fast forward to just the points. I will go directly to the points in the video that I fixed, just to make sure those fixes came out the way I planned them to. At that point, I upload the video to YouTube. From there, the video is being uploaded. I fill out the title of the video. I then edit the description. I do a bunch of other stuff. And then I set the video to be published for 8 a.m. the next morning. And then I copy, paste, and refine all that information that I wrote into that description into what I'll be using for the social media posts the next day. Okay, well that's basically going to do it for this video. I hope you like this unique type of video that no one else is doing. And I hope you do subscribe to the channel, as we do have more fun and interesting content related to disc golf on the way. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.